Happy in confinement. I'm answering some questions about Orphan Black. Um, so the type of document I would describe as obviously a fictional television series. I would also call it a thought experiment depicting a science fiction exaggeration of what current science hopes to achieve. This could also be seen as a possible prediction of the outcome of some current science experiments. Um, Identifying the characters and summing up the beginning of the plot. So this is harder for me to answer because I've seen a little bit of the series, actually. But the beginning of the plot is a woman who mysteriously encounters another woman identical to herself who commits suicide right in front of her. And the woman observing this decides that she can just adopt this other woman's identity and try to sort of become this other woman who's killed herself. She doesn't know what she's getting herself into as she begins to realize that actually she's part of a collective of clones. Um, the series is science fiction peppered with also action scenes. The basis of the plot deals with genetic modification and cloning, which are real scientific experiments being conducted in today's world that could be happening. Um, like types of stories like the one in this series could happen in the near future. The fictional part is just the consequences and how it all gets out of control, and obviously the people. It deals with government scandal, immoral science practices, the idea of dehumanization, and of course, female power. Um, so that's the show. And then the article, so explain far beyond. The term far beyond refers to the fact that the consequences of something can be much larger than one might imagine. Just thinking of one type of science technology, and the show Orphan Black or Netflix have capitalized on this idea that consequences could be so huge. The fictional characters are the clones themselves, as well as the science organization called Neolution, which is headed by also fictional Westmoreland, which is a man, I would imagine. Um, Neolutionists seek to capture the genes that appear in the children of these clones. So when the clones reproduce with humans, there's supposed to be a gene that can be harvested and used to prolong the human lifespan or have other benefits to humans that have these genes. In real life, the group that corresponds to Neolution is a collective of scientists that apparently are called transhumanists. And they specialize in ways to modify humans using their genes either to change the lifespan or alter proneness to disease, increase intelligence, brain capacity, and things like this. Why can the TV series be associated to the genre dystopia? And define dystopia. So dystopia is where there's either no freedom or no structure in a society. In any of these cases, people don't have a government that they trust, if they have a government at all. Control usually lies in the hands of the elite, who decide their own definition of what is right and what is wrong. Maybe they punish civilians when they choose to, perhaps in the way that they choose to. Um, an example of this is The Handmaid's Tale. For those of you who know most of the story, um, the elite in this case are the people who believe themselves to be biblically pure, and they can punish people as the Bible states that people have been punished for different sins in the Old or New Testament, I guess. Orphan Black has some parallels here. The clones are not free. The government is chasing them down. It's essentially hunting them, and simultaneously denying them basic human rights, as they're not allowed to have care of their own children, because they want the children for their genes as well, for example. Also, each clone has a monitor, which is a person responsible for surveying their behavior and their condition, etc., which is not something that normal humans have or have to deal with in a non-dystopian universe. We also have some hints in the article that the end of the series will be a better demonstration of what that dystopia looks like when the neo-Lucianists start to get more of what they want. One of the issues that I chose, of course, answers will vary, but the TV series is raising the issue of ethics in science, and the question posed in the article, as well as one that I thought stuck out at me watching the series, is should human subjects be given access to the information or results of experiments that are conducted on them by scientists, and maybe sponsored by the government? Or should this information belong only to the government and the scientists? Finally, why are the members of Neo-Lucian compared to the main character of Frankenstein? So in the story of Frankenstein, a human body is altered into a monster or a zombie as an experiment. The morality of Frankenstein, and by the way, Frankenstein is the name of the scientist, not the monster. Frankenstein chose to use a human subject instead of waiting for glory, meaning he didn't want to waste his time doing these experiments on smaller creatures with, that aren't human. He just went right for the gold. I think this depicts the impulsive nature of those who choose to see their dreams come to fruition immediately, rather than play it safe and stay, morally sound in their experiments. This could reflect some government policies or scientific experiments where they need to consult somebody and they choose not to, and instead they just go ahead and do the experiment, or they are desperate for money that some experiment is going to give them, so they choose to go ahead and do something, even if it's not morally correct. This is Orphan Black, the TV series, as well as the article. I definitely think this is a great show. It's got some mature content, but you are mature students, so I think you could handle it if you wanted to watch it in your own time. Thanks for listening, and bon confinement.